Hello and welcome to Instant Insights. At GlobalData's Strategic Intelligence, we track over 100 tech, industry, ESG, and macroeconomic themes impacting all major sectors. My name's Rory Gopsill, and I'm here with my colleague Hannah Cleland from GlobalData's Consumer Research and Analysis Division. And today we're here to talk about building resilient supply chains through innovation. So, Hannah, I think to start, it would be useful to perhaps provide a quick intro to the topic of supply chains and how innovations, especially in ingredients, can develop resilience.
Yeah, so supply chain resilience is all about ensuring that you can obviously meet the supply needs and consumer demands. So, being able to identify solutions, strategies, and innovations that address the commonalities in supply and demand side challenges in your industry. So, for instance, the need for healthier products is driven by public health regulation on the supply side, while a greater interest and understanding of nutrition among consumers drives that demand side.
Yeah, I see. And why is resilience so important for companies' supply chains right now?
So we're seemingly forever coming up against new perma-crises in global economies and supply chains. So companies need to be able to have a handle on how to address immediate challenges while also continuing to invest in longer term solutions that improve the stability of our supply chains for the future.
Okay, so what are the challenges facing food and beverage companies right now?
So the global consumer packaged goods or CPG industry is grappling really with three major kind of challenges at the moment: affordability, sustainability, and health. All three of these challenges are driven by trends on both the supply and demand side. So if we take affordability as the foremost issue, exacerbated by recent tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. So these tariffs, which include a 10% levy on nearly all US imports and up till recently over 100% on Chinese goods, threatened to reignite price inflation at a time when economies were beginning to stabilize post-pandemic. So disposable income is obviously still very restricted for many consumers around the world as a result of recent inflationary period. Therefore, preventing prices from increasing excessively is a key challenge for food and beverage companies. And then sustainability presents a second challenge, particularly influenced by stringent environmental regulations, especially in the European Union. So, new laws such as the EU's Deforestation Act require companies to ensure that their supply chains don't contribute to deforestation, while the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism imposes tariffs on carbon intensive imports. So, these regulations really create financial incentives for CPGs to adopt more sustainable practices. And if we take a long term view, a warming climate, of course, will have significant impacts on CPG supply chains with the impact on weather patterns and agriculture. Although the recent cost of living crisis has kind of shifted consumer focus towards affordability, approximately 75% of consumers still consider sustainability an important factor in purchase decisions. So, all of this underscores the necessity for CPG companies to address sustainability alongside affordability. And then if we talk about thirdly, kind of health as that final challenge facing the CPG sector. Firstly, concerns regarding product hygiene and nutritional content are rising, with an increase in food recalls being reported by the US Food and Drug Administration since 2022. So this could result in US consumers avoiding brands that develop any reputations for unhygienic products. And furthermore, global regulators are tightening restrictions on products that are high in sugar, salt, and fat, with countries like Norway and Australia implementing legislation to limit unhealthy food marketing to children. Additionally, we're also seeing those discussions around ultra processed foods gaining traction in legislative bodies, particularly in the UK and EU, where proposals for nutritional labelling and taxes on sugary drinks are also being considered. So consumer sentiment also reflects this trend as over 80% of individuals prioritize product hygiene and health benefits when making purchases. So compelling those CPG brands to enhance the health image of their offerings. So I guess with all that kind of said, Rory, I know you've been delving a bit more into how CPG companies can innovate to address these challenges. Maybe you could tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, there are a lot of ways in which food and beverage companies can improve their supply chains, from an affordability, sustainability, and health point of view. Switching suppliers to maximize supply chain efficiencies and investing in digital and industrial technologies can often prove effective ways of improving a supply chain's financial efficiency, its sustainable credentials, and its ability to reliably, maintain health and hygiene standards. However, these approaches to supply chain resilience aren't always without their problems. So, for example, purchasing and installing new software solutions and industrial machinery, that often comes with high upfront costs, for example. And that isn't ideal for smaller businesses, and indeed it isn't ideal for any company in an inflationary environment. Now, our upcoming conference on June the 5th focuses on another less frequently explored area, and that's innovations in ingredients and agricultural inputs.
Oh, that's really interesting. Can you maybe tell us a bit more about the innovations in ingredients?
Yeah. So ingredients and agricultural inputs, there's certainly areas for innovation that CPG companies and also agribusinesses should explore. After all, if you change what you put into your products, that can improve product quality and or reduce the financial and environmental costs of production. For example, we're seeing how intensive resource use has led to soil degradation and diminished nutrients in our food supply over the last several decades. And ultimately, that means that modern consumers are getting a lower value, a lower quality product. And so we can see why it is important for CPG brands to have oversight not only of their own manufacturing processes, but also of the operations happening further up the supply chain. And innovations in ingredients and agricultural inputs, broadly speaking, can be put into two categories, and those are substitutions and enhancements. Substitutions is where you replace an ingredient or agricultural input with an alternative, and enhancements are where you improve the existing ingredient or agricultural input in some way. And both types of innovation can ultimately improve the affordability, the sustainability, and the health credentials of food and beverage products.
Yeah, that's a very useful way of looking at the types of innovation, what you've outlined by kind of substitution or enhancement. So presumably not all of these innovations, though, are going to provide an overnight solution.
No, of course not. I mean, there are some innovations that need much more time and money investment. But I think it does link back to what you said at the beginning about shorter and longer term pressures. Successful companies will be able to identify which innovations can help them resolve urgent issues in their supply chain and which innovations are more critical to the long-term health of their business and industry.
Great, thanks. We'll wrap it up there then. So thanks for those instant insights and thank you to the audience for listening. And from us in Strategic Intelligence, see you next time.